All right, welcome back. So, in this video, we are going to explore shared libraries. In the previous video, we learned and we understood what actually shared library is, what power does it add into Jenkins, and how it is very much useful when we are learning Jenkins, right? So far, we have seen multiple implementations of Jenkins. We even covered 3 projects that helped us to understood how does Jenkins work. But the cherry on cake here would be shared libraries, because this will not only help us in reducing the file size, the length of the Jenkins file, but it will be easier for us to understand the Jenkins file. Plus, it will also help us to update Jenkins files at once if we are reusing the same thing again and again, right? So, in this same repo, which we were referring from starting, I have added one more subdirectory, that is by number 12, Jenkins Shared Library, where entire documentation of each and everything, whatever we are going to use today, is documented over here. Okay, I have deliberately made it so much simple because I've been facing a lot more issues while I was learning it. I will try to make it very much simpler so that you can actually understand how that shared library works. Okay, so here you will find the basic hello world Groovy syntax, along with how you can write a custom log Groovy. Everything is present under this directory, right? Along with this, I have created one more directory. Now, if you are aware of shared libraries, in the previous section we covered the theory, and based on that only we have created one more vars folder in a public repo where all the Groovy files are present. Okay, and these files are ready to use, and all the documentation is again written in the directory readme.md file, which you can refer for your understanding, and it would be easier for you to grasp each and every concept. Okay, and lastly but not the least, what we are going to do, we are going to reuse the Flask application again, but this time we are going to implement shared libraries in it, right? So yeah, let's get started with the first thing is, let's just first understand what is there inside subdirectory number 12. So yeah, the first thing is, we understood about shared libraries. It is used to reduce the length of file of Jenkins, and we can use it to call multiple functions. Okay, now those functions are written that end with an extension. Now, what is an extension? Now see, if you are playing a video file, the extension is .mp4. If you are on a text file, it is .txt. Likewise, here the extension is .groovy. Okay, and what would be the function name? So whatever comes before groovy, it will be acted as a function. Okay, now whenever you are writing a Jenkins file, you have to make sure that you are using the same function name so that it will refer to the same position and will call that function. Okay, now, I know that this theory is very overwhelming, so why not let us do the practical and understand it parallelly? Okay. Now, once we are done understanding all these syntax, we are going to implement the same understanding, same concept on the Flask project. Okay. So, the first thing would be, we are going to the dashboard, and this will be the place where we would be defining the shared library. Now, the thing is, do we know where the variables are present? Does Jenkins know this? No, because we haven't defined it. So in order to define it, you have to go to settings under manage Jenkins. You will find an option called system under system configuration. Okay. And here you have to search for a global setting. Okay. So if you are on Windows, just press Control F. If you are on if you are on Mac, just press Command F and search for the term library. Okay. And here we are looking for this, that is global trusted pipeline libraries. So these are the shareable library available to any pipeline job running on the system. These library will be trusted, meaning they will run without sandbox restriction, and they will be used automatically. So you just have to click on add. Now here you need to define the name of library. Now if you remember, when we were working on worker node and agent node, there we defined the ID. Likewise, you have to provide the name, and this will be acting as an ID. So I'll just try shared over here, and this would be the ID that I will be referring. I will be telling the Jenkins file to use. What would be the default version? Now see, usually you can give v1, v2, but here we are explicitly writing. It is a best practice to write the branch name. Now if I go to my shared repository, the branch that we are using is main. So I'll go to system configuration and I'll write the default version as main. Okay. Now scroll down and here the retrieval method can be multiple legacy or SCM. So I'll select modern SCM and here I will provide the repository. Now which repository? The same repository where we have created the folder hierarchy which we understood in the previous theory section. So I'll just copy the URL. I'll go back to system configuration and provide the repository. Now see, since it was a public repo, I didn't provide it the credential. But if it is a private repo, you have to provide it with the credential. Okay. Yeah. So scroll down and here let us skip everything as is. No need to provide the library path. It will update automatically. Just click on save. Okay. Now Jenkins know where to take the libraries. Now we have to define our workflow. So for this specific understanding, we are going to create a new job. I'll write it as shared demo and I'll create a pipeline. I will click on OK. Alright. So I'll directly go all the way to pipeline and here I'll define a sample pipeline that is of hello world. Okay. Now let me click on save and if I just click on build now, okay, I'll just click on proceed. We'll go back to shared demo. And here you can see the job one got executed successfully because it was very simple. It was just a basic hello world program. Okay. Now let us make further changes in it. I'll go back to configure this time. I'll go back to the pipeline. And here you can see there is a stage called hello, but I want to print it using the library. Now, if I go to shared library, if I go to vars, okay, here I have something called a file name hello.groovy. And here you can see there is a basic function written. Now here we have defined the function def call and here we have used circular brackets and curly braces and inside it we have written the command hello world. Now as an user, if I want to call this library, I need to define it into the pipeline, right? So I'll go back to the shared demo job and here I'll remove this statement. And when I want to call the job, I just have to write the function name. Now, what is the function name? I will again repeat. The function name would be the file name. And whatever is present before .groovy, that would be the function name. I'll just go back here and I'll just write hello. And that's it. But again, there is one more parameter that we need to pass. Right now, if you go through and iterate through this pipeline, you will just understand, okay, we have created a stage name hello and we are calling a function by hello. But where it is defined? Okay, so here you have to import the library just like we do it in Java. So just write @library. And here you need to pass on the ID. Remember, we named it as shared. So I'll just write shared. And after that, just press one space and give one underscore. That's it. Your library will be imported and this time whenever you are printing the echo message, it will be printed from the shared library. I will click on save. And this time I'll again click on build now. The build is scheduled now and things should be working fine. Now, if you see this time on build number 2, if I go and check the console output, this time it will print from the shared library. And here you can see hello world is printed. All right. Now, let us take one more demonstration. I'll go back to configure this time and let us take example of hello2.groovy. Now, Shubham, we printed a defined message. But what if I want to pass some parameters? Now, see, if you are aware of Groovy syntax, if you have done programming in Java, here your experience will come in handy because see, whenever you're calling a function and whenever you want to pass a variable during runtime, you make use of these functions, right? And here we are passing one string name, a string value that is user and that would be passed by the user. Okay, so what I will do here, the file name is hello2.groovy, right? So I'll go back to shared demo. I'll go to pipeline. I will copy this stage and okay, hello2 from custom lib and this time I want to call hello2.groovy file and what it is expecting, it is expecting one string input. Okay, so let me write one string input. So for your understanding, I have already written the function that you will write on your library. on your job. So I'll just correct it. It is not hello, it is hello 2. Yeah. Now things are good. By the way, this is a wonderful update by GitHub. Whenever we are writing anything, whenever we are doing any changes, the commit messages are populating automatically. So I love this feature, this update from GitHub. So let us do a direct commit on it. All right. So we have defined hello to, and here we are passing my name. Okay. So here, if you remember when we were learning environment variables, whenever we want to call any environment variable, whenever we are referring to any environment variable, right? So we make use of dollar and followed by the curly braces, and we would pass the value. So here it is expecting for a string input, and that would be passed in the pipeline itself. So I'll go back here, and here I have defined the function. Now, since it is a string value, I'll just write the double quotes and I'll pass the value. So what is my expected output? So when this pipeline runs, it should print hello followed by the string that I'm passing. That is my name. Hello Shubham. Welcome to Jenkins Shared Library. Okay. So I'll just go and click on save. All right. Let me build it now. So this is the third build which we are triggering, where we are expecting two sort of output. That is, first is hello, that is defined block, and second is a custom that we are passing through the Jenkins pipeline. So if I go and show you the logs, you can see it is showing the message as hello Shubham, welcome to Jenkins Shared Library. Okay, there are multiple use cases that we can use when we are working with shared library. Okay, now let's say if you want to pass a custom log. Now, why we need custom log in the very first sense? See, I'm deliberately taking multiple examples so that you can understand what is the use case. Now, why the use case is needed is because, let's say if I go to the console output, you can see there are multiple things which are running at the back end, and as a beginner, as an end user, it will become very hard for me to troubleshoot the things. So what if I just beautify it by using some arrows and things, right? That can be done. But will it be feasible for me to add it in the Jenkins file? No, right? Because it will make the length of Jenkins file very much higher, and it will be very much difficult for us to trace. Because if there is a syntax mix, it will mess up the Jenkins file. In order to avoid that, we already create one custom message, so that we are going to make use of this time. If I scroll down, this is something that we are getting, right? So I'll go back to shared demo again. I'll go back to configure. I will go to pipeline, and this time before these two stages, we will pass that custom message so that it would be easier for us to understand. And I'll just write message from lib, and this time we are calling the custom library, and let me just copy. It will be custom log. Okay, and here it is again expecting one string value, and that would be starting build, and I will just copy it over here. Now here what is happening, we are calling custom block shared library, a function, and inside that we are passing one string value that is starting build. So what it will do, it will pass on that value to here, and it will print starting build over here, right? So our end output will look something like this when we click on build now. So this would be the fourth build that we are demonstrating, and here you can see we have the custom lib, and let me just open it. So when I go to console log, this is how it will look like. So it will be helpful for us to segregate. Okay, for readability purpose, they can use the custom log. Now, if you just go through this shared library repository, you will find multiple examples. If needed, we will update it in future. But whatever is required for you to get started and to understand, everything is present over here. So this would be a very good thing that you would be doing. And now coming forward with the Docker build and push, we were doing a lot of work, we were taking a lot of examples with Docker. So instead of doing it in this manner, we will implement the same in the Flask application. But before even we do that, let me just explain what is happening over here, right? So if you are aware, if you are following till now, you are already aware that here we made use of credential manager. Okay, because we don't like to expose our credential. That's the reason everything is concealed. We are making good use of Jenkins. But the thing was, our pipeline length was becoming very much larger because we were using this. But is there any way to reduce the file size? Yes, definitely, because we are using shared libraries. But we will need to pass some value, right? So here we are passing image name. Okay, so you won't understand it theoretically. Let me show you how you can implement this practically. I will go back to Flask portfolio, and here I will create a new branch by name master v1, and I'm checking it out from master branch. So whatever code we have used till now, we are going to make use of the same code. Okay. Here I'll go to the Jenkins file, and here we'll define our workflow. Okay. Now let me just edit this file, and let me just scroll down. See, we can even automate this thing, but we are here to figure out how do we fix the Docker part, the Docker section. So the first thing would be I will just remove this section entirely. I will remove this stage, this step completely, and here I will call that function. And what is the name of that function? The name of the function is docker build and push. Okay. So I have called this function, but in return it is expecting something. Here it is expecting us to pass a string value. Now, how do you know a string value is required? Because see, here we have defined the data type, and that is the reason I am aware that I have to pass something. And here it is expecting an image name, because that is something that will be built and pushed into Docker Hub, right? So I'll go back to Flask portfolio again, and here what data can be used. Okay, so the first thing is I want to make sure that whenever I am building and tagging, it should be a unique number of the image. So here I'll make use of build number. Okay, that is the default variable that we have in Jenkins. But before even that, my tag is contact, and what is my image tag? That is image underscore name. I want to make use of it, right? So my structure would be image name colon build number. But this image name again can change. I want to make it something dynamic. So what I will do, I will call it from environment. So what I'll do, I'll go back to push to Docker Hub stage, and here I'll just call again and variable, and here I will write env dot image name. This is how you will be calling the image name from the environment section. And second is we are referring the shared library for calling the build push function. Okay, so here I'll import the library. So library, and here the name of the library would be the ID that we passed on. So it would be shared, and again space underscore. Now it will do the job. So what I will do, I will just remove this stage completely directly from here. Now, since in the shared library, we are already tagging the image, okay, we are already passing the values. So there is no need for us to define that image, and this will reduce the size of Jenkinsfile. And here the only thing that we are passing is we are calling docker build push, and from environment variable, we are passing the image name, okay, and by the default Jenkins variable, we are passing the build number. Now I will just commit this time, okay, and we are going to build it now. And this time you see the lean test run, and it is pushing the image to Docker Hub. Image build was success, and it is deploying to stage. So yeah, in this video, this actually worked. So in this video, we learned the practical aspect of shared libraries, the importance of importing library, how do we troubleshoot it. So basically, the most important part over here is to import the library, because the pipeline will know where to take the Groovy files from. And here we have stored the Groovy files under one repository, that is Jenkins Shared Library.Jenkins. If you want to know more of what actually things are going, so you just have to go through the README. Everything is present over here. Everything is written in a very good manner. You can just go through the Groovy files. You will understand what actually it is trying to do. And in the example section, you can just copy this completely and paste it, so that you will get a complete idea how does things work, right? So yeah, that was all in this video. I hope you understood the practical aspect of shared library. Okay, we even tried to do a practical demonstration on the previous project that we created. That was a Python Flask application. So yeah, that was all, and I will see you in the next one.